What is up, everyone? Welcome to episode 2 of Be in the Room expert series. Today, we are talking all about emotional precision in strategic decision making. I just did this video for those of you who are joining in, but it cut off, and so I'm recapturing it again from the top. For those of you who are just tuning in, this series is all about, let me just paste this here. All right. This series is all about giving you the leadership tools and the leadership experiences that I use with not only the people that I coach directly, senior leaders, executives, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, founders. When I use these tools with them, but I'm also using these tools in larger workshops where companies are investing a lot of dollars into helping their leaders attain new tools in order to grow their performance, to grow their revenue, to be ready for that next level. So I'm bringing you all of these next level tools over the month of January so that you have access to the tools that they're using to be able to up your game in 2026, whether that means through, getting that next promotion, whether that means taking on the new venture, executing a project that you've had on the back burner for so many years, or mitigating burnout in 2026. Because all of this series is going to be captured. Most of what you're going to see in this series is going to be captured in the book that I'm releasing on January 20th called Be in the Room: How to Stop Shrinking and How to Start Leading with Purpose. And if you want to pre-order a copy of that book, you can either just you can comment book in the comments here, or you can go to Amazon and you can pre-order it now as well. So I'm going to be bringing you through the lives over the next few weeks. I'm going to be bringing you some of the tools that I'm going to be talking about here. So thank you all for joining. Sorry that my live ended before. Hey, my mom's here. Hey, Mom. Hi, Dust of My Dreams. Hey, Sean. Good to see you. All right. Hi, everyone. Okay. So quick recap from yesterday. Yesterday, we talked all about the Experience Cube. Now, the Experience Cube is a tool that has been developed by Gervais Bush, who is a psychology professor. He's based in Vancouver. And essentially, he used this cube. It's a tool that helps us to navigate a lot of different things in personal and professional settings, whether that is navigating difficult conversations, navigating feedback, navigating difficult decisions. It is all about how to slow down your thinking in a structured way so that you're able to create clarity to take the next step, to take the next action, or to have the next hard conversation. Now, yesterday, just to bring you up to speed on something that happened. So yesterday after the live, my husband came in and he watched it and he talked to me, and after he got annoyed with the fact that I was using his name in the live with examples. After that, he said, Lauren, I was thinking about the Experience Cube, and I think that it's going to be a very valuable tool for me when I'm thinking about this business case that I want to put together. Now, for context, my husband's a managing partner at one of the big four consulting firms, so very high up in terms of executive presence, very high up in terms of the rooms. And so we're showing you that the tools that I'm giving you here can have applications at all levels of leadership, whether you are leading self, whether you are leading a small team, whether you are leading a function, whether you are leading an organization, whether you are leading a business. So just a quick recap of this tool. So yesterday we talked about the Experience Cube tool. We also named it the Oh What the Fuck tool, right? O for observation, T for thoughts, F for feelings, and W for wants, right? How to break down your thinking. Now, in my husband's case, using it as the application of a business case makes sense. It's a great application for this tool. When you're thinking about a pitch, when you're thinking about a presentation, the O can help you to identify what the problem statement is, backed by data, right? Because again, O is observation. It needs to be backed by data. It cannot be refuted. Everyone needs to see it as a universal truth. The thought is what we think of it. What are we making? What's the so what of it, right? So what do we think about this data? What is the data telling us? What is the story that the data is telling us? And then the want, so he went through the data, he went through the story that it was telling us, and then he went straight to the want. And the want was essentially the solution that he wanted to put forward. And I said to him, or what he wanted people to walk away with. And I said to him, I'm like, all that is good, but I'm curious, like when you think about the data and you think about the story that it tells, how does it make you feel? And he was like, no, 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 Lord, we don't do feelings. And I was like, tell me more. We don't do feelings in business. We make decisions based on observations and data and thoughts and logic. We don't make decisions based on feelings. We don't create solutions based on feelings. And I said, aha. And he said that may work in other spheres, but in our industry, in our business, it doesn't apply. And this is the common misconception that I see across all industries. So I work in industries like entertainment, I work in technology, I work in real estate, I work with finance leaders, I work with creative leaders, I work with technology and IT leaders. Universally, resource leaders, and universally, the resistance is the same when it comes to the F word. We don't talk about feelings in business. And what my intention is over the next 15 minutes is to show you that when we ignore this thing, the F word, we are at a risk of ignoring what is really going on. We are at a risk of solving the wrong problem. We are at a risk of allowing the feelings to run our reactions instead of creating informed responses. Okay? And that applies across the board because emotions absolutely do exist in all parts of business, in all parts of our professional lives. Although we've been told a story to leave them out, that emotions are for your personal life and they do not belong in business. But emotions are present in conflict, emotions are present in feedback, emotions are present in power dynamics, emotions are present in relationship building, emotions are present in all kinds of strategic decisions. Businesses are constantly making decisions based on fear. Businesses and leaders are constantly making decisions based on excitement, impulse, pride. All of these things are emotions. So it is incorrect to say that we as humans do not make decisions based on emotion in a business context when we are in fact humans. And I'll show you a common example that happens with a lot of my clients. So a lot of times people who come to me for coaching, leaders who come to me for coaching, come to me because they're observing that they are so busy. They're observing that they don't have time in their calendar, that they're working really long hours, they're not getting enough sleep or enough rest, which makes them think that they're burning out. And what they want is they want a better time management system. They want to know if maybe they should quit their jobs. They want to know if they want to go on a vacation. They want to just rest. Those are the wants that come from the observation, the thought, and then going straight to the want. When I have a session with a client, though, I push them into the feeling. When you are doing the things that you are doing on a day-to-day basis, what are some of the things that you're feeling? And a lot of times, the word that comes up over and over again is, I feel resentful. Among exhausted, tired, I feel resentful. And notice the nuance that just changed there from when we went from tired to resentful. Because if I'm just tired, let's take a break, let's take a nap, come back refreshed, no problem. If I identify that I'm resentful, now that's a different conversation. Or even, as you're saying here, baby doll, it's overwhelmed. That is a different conversation. Because now we can actually pinpoint, okay, what are the tasks that you're doing that make you feel resentful? What is it that's making you feel resentful? And oftentimes it will come with, I'm resentful because everyone just asks so much of me and no one actually gives anything back. I'm resentful because I seem to put everyone else's needs and desires ahead of my own and I'm not moving the needle on my stuff. I'm resentful because I fear that if I say no to all this work that I'm being given, then I'm going to be shunned, or I'm going to be not seen as a team player, or I'm not going to get ahead. Now we're solving different problems, and you can see how without that information, we were just going to implement a new calendaring system. We were just going to take a vacation. But all of that core problem that was underneath, that was actually causing the overwhelm and the burnout, that still hasn't been resolved. So if we are not talking about feelings, then we are making decisions based on a reaction versus a response. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you the tools that help us do this. And before I do that, I'm going to show you why, from a neuroscience perspective, this happens. So this is your brain. This is a really great brain. Okay. And your brain is made up of, and this is like basic neuroscience. Okay. So we're not going to get too in depth into this, but I want to show you how your brain works so that you can understand what you're working with and why this is important. So your brain is made up of about 3 parts, right? So this part here, this is what they call the reptilian brain. So this is like this core stem here, and this is responsible for like your automatic functions. Things like your breathing, things like your blinking, things like moving my hands incessantly, right? Like anything that is automatic that keeps you alive, your heart beating, this is what the reptilian brain is dealing with. Then in this layer, you have your limbic system. And in your limbic system, this is where your emotions reside, right? So emotions are in this middle part of your brain. What is also in your middle part of your brain is this little shiny dot here called the amygdala. Now, the amygdala, what it does is it is constantly scanning your environment for threat, because humans are designed to do what primarily? Survive. Yeah, I know the board's blurry. I'll fix that for the other part, but don't worry. It's like I'm trying to find a way to. Sorry about the board being blurry. Anyways, just you can kind of get what's going on here. So we have the amygdala that's nestled in the limbic system. And what it does is it's constantly scanning for threat. And when it identifies a threat, what it does is it activates and it steals away all of the energy to preserve it into this area here. So this is where like your fight, flight, freeze response system is. Think of that as what your amygdala does. So when this is happening, your body goes into self-preservation mode, which means that it's heavily relying on your reptilian system and your emotional brain. What it is not accessing is it is not accessing the outer part of your brain here, which is where your prefrontal cortex is. Now, your prefrontal cortex, that outer layer of your brain, is associated with rational thinking, analytical thinking, and problem solving. So you can see when we are experiencing an emotion or a threat, we are largely focusing on this piece of our brain. So that means that for the most part, emotions are driving our decisions. Emotions are present constantly. And if we're not paying attention to what they are, being able to name them, then what we're doing is we're removing our ability to be analytical about our decisions, right? To slow down and be more analytical about our decisions. So here's how we combat this. This is where the tool comes in. And the tool that I want to talk about today is the emotions wheel. And the emotions wheel is important because if it's important that we're able to name an emotion to help us more strategically solve problems, then we need to be able to have access to what those emotions could be, because there have been studies that are inconclusive around how many emotions a human being can experience. Like the number can go up to 24,000 emotions that you could be experiencing at any given point in time. Brene Brown actually did a study, and she interviewed something like 7,000 people. And amongst those 7,000 people, she asked them how many emotions they could name. And I'll give you a moment to venture a guess as to how many emotions that they could name. It was 3: mad, sad, angry, right? Or no, it was happy, sad, angry, right? So these are the 3 emotions that most humans are able to name out of a sample of 7,000 humans. That being said, there are 24,000, up to 24,000 emotions that anyone can be experiencing. So look at how much data we are potentially missing when we're only able to name 3 for the most part, right? So this is where the emotions wheel comes in, because when you are able to name an emotion, what you are doing is you are triggering your prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for language. So essentially, by using an emotions wheel, by naming an emotion, you are taking your brain out of fight or flight mode. And what you're doing is you're actually triggering, pushing it into problem solving mode by accessing the language part of your brain, your prefrontal cortex, which is in the rational part of your brain, right? So this is what this tool will help us to do. Because an emotions wheel, and you can Google an emotions wheel if you just Google feelings wheel, because what a feelings wheel will do is it will start with the core emotions, the one that you know, 1, 2, 3, but then it will start to branch off into sub emotions, right? Expanded emotions, so that you can actually look at it and say, okay, from a core perspective, I know that I'm feeling angry, but what's beneath that? What more specifically am I feeling? Am I frustrated? Am I rejected? Do I feel isolated? Do I feel anxious? When you're able to use an emotions wheel to help you identify those words, it gives you a faster path to rational thinking and a faster path to being able to solve the correct problem. All right. As well, the other thing that it does is it reduces the intensity of that emotion as well. When you're able to name it, it suddenly doesn't feel as big anymore. When you're able to name it, the amygdala is actually able to calm down and actually take you out of that fight or flight mode so that you can, again, approach your situation with more rational thinking. And this is so applicable when it comes to business because it is about navigating relationships. It's about navigating politics. It's about having those tough conversations. It's about making decisions when the stakes are high and shit feels scary. So you cannot sit here and tell me that emotions do not belong in business, because emotions are running our business decisions every day. And if we don't get in touch with how to name them, if we don't get in touch, if we're not able to start using emotional language as data in our decision making, then we are essentially saying that 80% of what is driving our decisions doesn't matter. But you know what it does do? It continues to exist. So you can either name it and work with it, or you can ignore it and have it run decisions without your knowledge. Okay? So here's what I want you to do. Here is your takeaway for today. I want you to think about something that you are navigating, a challenge that you are facing, something that you want to do. And I want you to Google a feelings wheel, and I want you to pinpoint at least 3 emotions that come up for you when you are thinking about that challenge, when you are thinking about that conversation, when you are thinking about that decision that you want to make. What are the emotion words that come up for you when you look at that wheel? And then I want you to start to ask, if you find a word, find those words and start to ask yourself, what is it that's driving those emotions? Because what you're going, and how do I want to feel? What are the emotions that I want to feel? Because there you're going to start to chart a path between where you are and where you want to get to. And suddenly the steps to get there will seem a lot clearer. And not only that, but you're likely to not just be solving, again, the top problem, but getting to the root of what is actually going on for you so that you can make decisions that are going to be transformative versus performative. That makes sense. All right. That is it for today. So a tease for tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about, again, how emotions play out in our own journeys of change. Because again, if emotion drives a lot of our behavior, when we're thinking about the changes that we want to make in 2026, how do those emotions show up? And how is it that we're able to navigate them? So tomorrow I'm going to be walking you through the emotional cycle of change so that you can normalize your experience through change and better be able to utilize the tools to navigate them as well. All right. I also want to encourage you to make sure you not only join in for tomorrow's live, make sure you schedule yourself for the next ones coming up. If you're a fan of what you're hearing in this session, make sure that you go and you Go to Amazon and pre-order my book, Be in the Room, where I cover tools like this and many, many more when it comes to stepping up and increasing your emotional intelligence and your executive presence. By the way, the what do you call it? The live will be tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 p.m. Eastern time, so same time as today. Okay. So make sure you go and get your copy, pre-order your copy of Be in the Room. It's going to be out on January 20th. You also have the ability to go to my website if you're looking for more one-on-one coaching support, because I do private consultations complimentary for anyone who's looking to take some of these tools and be more specific to how they can help them to navigate their specific challenges or goals for this year. All right. All right. Thank you all. Let me just see who's here. Ordering book. Thank you so much, Black Girl and her shepherds. Thank you. Baby B. I'm trying to Susie was it DJ Honey Vibes. Alfie, hey, I didn't see you come in. Hey Ian. Hey Sean. Okay, awesome. All right. So I will see you all tomorrow. And yeah. Happy reflecting, and I would love to hear how this practice worked for you of using the emotions wheel and what new insights it brought up to how you're going to solve your next problem and how you're going to strategically make your next decision. Have a great day.